The most bare bones way to wash, polish, and ceramic coat your car.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
This is DIY Detail. Today we're going to take this brand new Subaru and make it better than new.
Is it brand new?
It's brand new. It's got maybe 1,000 miles on it, so he hasn't had it a long time. He's already taken it through the car wash a number of times already though. He's got the little sticker on the windshield. He's got the, as often as you want to go to the car wash thing, but he wants it protected. He wants the car to glow. He wants it to shine. And even though he's taking it through the car wash, he wants it to be easier to wash and not have to take it through the car wash as often.
Ivan, we are in our new shop.
Right.
We don't have anything set up yet. This is a back to basics video. You're a man of the people. You also happen to be cheap and lazy.
Exactly.
And so if you're like that out there, this is the perfect video for you because we're not using any fancy tools.
No.
We're gonna get professional results.
Exactly. So first thing we need to do is wash the vehicle. We're gonna use our rinseless wash for that. We have the legacy sponges in the bucket. And we have 4 gallons of water, which means 4 capfuls.
You've called yourself cheap and lazy before. I hope that isn't
Oh,
lost
definitely.
on
No,
the audience. Yeah.
no. Definitely cheap and lazy. Other people have described it as efficient and profitable. So
I like that.
Yeah.
Rinseless wash, it's a way to wash your vehicle. If you've never heard about it, it means you don't have to rinse at the end. We're gonna go through a few steps here. We actually are gonna utilize a hose.
Right.
No pressure washer, no foam cannon, nothing fancy, just a hose. But I just think rinseless washing, because of the lubrication, is a great way to wash your vehicle.
Right. Now, we need to pre-spray. We could just put it in a bottle and spray, but after age, your trigger hands get a little weary. This is a little sprayer we're testing out. They're not expensive. They're available on Amazon and other places.
But if you literally had one of these 16-ounce bottles that was empty of product, this is iron remover, we're gonna use this later, but we could do the exact same thing with this, and you would just pre-spray rinse this all over the vehicle. So,
yeah,
if you wanna keep it as basic as the rest of this video is gonna be, save the sprayer here. It's just something like this will help you clean around the house. Like, you will find multiple uses for this if you buy it to detail. You'll be like, I'm spraying my countertops. You know, you can put whatever solution you want in there. I actually like rinseless wash to clean my interior of my house, but neither here nor there.
Now, one thing you noticed, I didn't measure. I already measured in the bucket. I have the proper dilution in there. Off we go.
All right. Top to bottom.
Top to bottom, and you just have to press the trigger on and then off.
This is fancy. Up here?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I can change
adjust the spray to a nice mist.
We like that mist right there?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that good? All right. I'm gonna work the roof here a little bit.
As you can see, it's nice and quiet as well. Now, the customer was kind enough to take this vehicle through the car wash before bringing it here. So those of you that are saying you guys only clean cars, you're right this time. But
Ivan, walk me through, and I know this is a fairly clean car, but walk me through why we're pre-spraying this vehicle. What's happening on the surface here?
Well, he drove it from the car wash to here, so there could be grit on it. There could be different things. The rinseless wash is just emulsifying what dirt could be on the surface. And if there isn't, great. If there is, we're safe. And if your car has grit, if your car is dirty, this is a great way of making sure you're getting that off. Now, this one, we don't have a lot of grit on it as we mentioned, so we can go straight to the contact wash. If you knew the car had grit on it, if you'd just taken it off the road, it hadn't been through a car wash in the last hour, then yes, you're gonna rinse it off and then do your contact wash.
This thing is awesome.
It is.
The power.
Quiet. So like I said, we don't need to rinse this one at this point because we know the car is basically clean. So I'm gonna take my legacy sponge, squeeze it just enough to get it to the point of dripping, and then start the contact wash.
Ivan, do we want to shout the brand out on this? Because it is a phenomenal tool. I love this thing.
Actually, I don't know the brand. It was sent to us to test, and that's what we're doing.
Wow. I love it. This is amazing. Okay. Always something fun and new. All right, where would you like me to start?
Well, go to the other side. I'll get this side done.
We dip the rinseless wash sponge in there to the verge of dripping.
Exactly.
Not overly dry, not overly wet.
luckily I can just reach. So we still have a lot of tools in our storage unit, and one of those tools is our platform. But we can reach the center, so we're good.
Speak for yourself.
I'll go over to that side and help you.
All right.
Now another thing that's going to increase your efficiency is having your buckets on wheels. We don't have that luxury today because, like our little platform, they're in the storage unit.
Ivan, you talk about with rinseless washing when you're not pre-treating with the hose.
Yeah.
What I've seen you talk about before, and we put no pressure on the sponge, by the way.
Exactly.
It offers just a mitigation of any scratch risk because of pressure points, right? How thick this is. But what I've seen you do is use the red side, for example, once, and then you'll use the black side again. Is that something you'd recommend here, and why?
Not on this vehicle because, like we said, it's basically clean. If you have grit, if you know that the surface is dirty in it, you feel it in the sponge, then yes, you might want to do that. So by starting on one side of your sponge and then going to the other side, what you're doing is the first pass or the first line with the sponge is basically picking up the dirt and emulsifying it even more. The second one, you're actually absorbing a lot of that dirt off the surface, not leaving anything on the surface.
I'll often save lowers until the end of my wash, but because this is so clean, I just went ahead and took care of my half of the front bumper. You want me to get the rest of it?
Sure, while you're there. And if you're unsure how clean or dirty the vehicle is, take the proper steps. This one we were able to save a step because we knew that it literally just came out of a car wash. But we're still probably going to pick dirt up off of it. A car wash isn't the best solution for cleaning your car.
Having a bucket on both sides of the car is pretty awesome, Ivan.
It is.
Is it worth the extra product?
If you're working alone, no. If you're working as a team, definitely. And if you're working alone, having your buckets on wheels is an amazing thing. Because now your bucket can be near you at all times. So back here is an area that car washes often have a problem with. Around the wiper, underneath the spoiler here, that's an area that they really don't like. They can't get quite in there with their brushes, so we'll do a little extra work there. Nick, you're a Subaru owner. What do you think of the new
I was
Crosstrek?
thinking about how much I wanted it.
Or actually Outback, not Crosstrek, sorry. And this is the Wilderness Edition. From here, we can decontaminate. For the decontamination, we have our perforated synthetic decontamination towel, and we just have water in this bucket. So just to make sure we have that extra lubrication, there's 3 gallons in there, which means 3 capfuls.
Perforated synthetic decontamination towel, not to be confused with a clay bar. What we're doing is we're removing contaminants from the pores of this paint. We want to make it very, very, very easy to polish. Eventually, we're trying to get that clear coat as receptive as possible for our ceramic coating.
Exactly.
But if you don't clay, decontaminate, whatever you want to say before you polish, it's going to interfere with the polishing process.
Exactly. And let's see how contaminated this surface is. So to use our iron remover, a lot of people will have you take the iron remover and just spray everywhere. And there's 2 bad things that happen when you do that. First, iron remover is not the best smelling product, so you're going to have that smell permeating in your work area. Secondly, it's an expensive chemical. So we don't want to use an excessive amount of it, back to my cheapness. But when we're doing that, if you overuse the chemical, it's not doing the job that it needs to do. And we call it an iron remover, and that's a misnomer. It's an industry standard term for it, just like a clay bar doesn't have any clay in it, but we call it clay barring or decontaminating the paint. In this case, the iron remover actually is not removing any iron. It's better termed a rust converter, meaning that your iron particle that came from your brakes or the vehicle beside you, their brakes, it's not actually removing the iron, it's attacking the rust that's around the iron. By removing that little bit of iron, that little particle of iron, now this becomes a lot more efficient.
So show us how to do it, Ivan, and tell me if I should use a clay bar ever.
Right, a clay bar, well, first of all with this, one spray on the towel, one spray on the panel, mix the two together, and go from there. And no pressure whatsoever on the towel. We're literally just gliding it across the paint. And
one way we describe it is you're distributing the iron remover. Is that how do you talk about distributing? It's a mental thought of how to use this, right?
Right. So you're distributing the iron remover, and you can feel the contamination through the towel. This hood actually has a bit of contamination on it. And when you don't hear or feel it anymore, you're done. You don't need to agitate any more than that. Now, your question as to, do we ever need to use a clay bar? If you maintain your vehicle, you'll never have to use a clay bar in your life. Where a clay bar comes in handy is extremely, and I mean extremely heavy contamination. The other area where it comes in handy is paint overspray. Now you notice Nick is doing the windows. We want to do the windows, it makes them easier to clean.
Well, it also reminded me, I wanted to ask you, do you need to use your brand new perforated synthetic decontamination towel on windows first?
No. Now, traditionally it has been that way. And if you buy a towel from us, you'll notice that instead of being a glossy finish when you get it, it has sort of a powder on it. And that powder has allowed us to make it so that you don't need to break in your towel.
I still like breaking it in on windows, but you don't need to.
It's not necessary. So with our second generation towel, because we're actually at our second generation now, we've made it simpler for the user.
What I like about the windows thing is if you're brand new to a towel, it gives you some, I would say, safer practice real estate to get a feel for the towel and, you know, fold it into fours and realize what no pressure feels like. And
yeah, definitely.
It's a good practice area, I guess.
Now, Nick, you didn't do the roof. I'm gonna give you a little trick to get you closer to the center of the roof. Open the door.
He's never let me do this before.
Don't step on the sill, just get in closer.
Like that?
Yeah. Notice you can reach the center of the roof now.
And this way you're not, why are you anti door sill, door jamb, you know, stepping?
A, it's a slip risk. B, it's not good for the vehicle.
Is it not?
Well,
it makes sense.
You know, you can scratch it. I'm trying to mitigate scratches throughout my whole life. That's what I do.
Yeah, you don't think about door jambs as paint, but they are.
Yeah.
Or the sill.
And you know, having worked on the car around here, our feet are wet. And even if you put a towel down, that's still a slip risk.
Now, if this vehicle had sat under a tree, not garaged for 10 years, you may be involving some tree sap remover. That may be a candidate for a clay bar.
Yeah.
But I would say on 95% of jobs, this decontamination towel is all you need. It is amazing.
Exactly.
And
now,
you still have the lubrication on the surface from the Rinseless Wash. It's amazing how smooth this feels on my towel.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very smooth, very slick, and very safe.
And then we have our dedicated bucket here where you can dunk your towel back in. So I like to do about a panel per side of my towel. You fold it into fours. Obviously that reduces pressure points. And all you gotta do is really dunk it in the bucket. Okay, I'm good, I'm clear. And now I have 4 more panels worth for my towel. And that's a pretty good rule of thumb.
Exactly.
But yeah, don't forget to use your decon towel on windows. Especially this back window.
Yeah.
It can often be pretty rough back here.
Hey look, you're able to reach past the center.
I know. So open the door, guys, there you go.
And you don't have to step, you just have to open. It gets you closer. And you also have no risk of rubbing up against the car. So as we mentioned in the opening, this is a new space for us. It's a very old space, but it's new to us. And it's definitely a work in progress. So bear with us. We don't have all our regular equipment. We don't have all our regular tools. We don't have our regular lighting, that's for sure. It's a little dark on this side, but we're making it work. Now that we've decontaminated the surface mechanically and gotten any of the iron particles off, so right here, we can see red tracing from the iron remover. And it's a new car. It's been through a car wash multiple times, yet there's still iron particles coming off of the hood. And that is part of what we're doing here. We're making sure that the paint is as clean as possible. And that decontamination is a big part of cleaning it. Now to rinse. So we have different nozzles here. And it was set to one that's like a little turbo nozzle on a pressure washer. Oh, that's a little too fine of a mist. Let's go for the shower. There we go. So we don't need pressure, we just need a volume of water. And we can see that there's absolutely no beading whatsoever on this vehicle, which is a good thing because now we know we have a clean surface to work from. And sometimes a hose is actually better than a pressure washer. And this is one of those instances. The higher volume of water is actually rinsing the surface a lot cleaner than a pressure washer would. I'm just gonna put the hose off to the side. I'm not gonna roll it up yet because we have one more round of rinsing to do in a moment. Next up, water spot remover. Now, a couple reasons why we're using water spot remover. A, we couldn't see any water spots on this vehicle. But we know that there is mineral accumulation on the vehicle, and that is because the way car washes do their job.
Yeah, you'll see some B-roll here. I'll cut it in, and I put my glove on the windshield.
Yeah.
There was this film I noticed everywhere, and we both pointed it out.
Yeah.
And that's where we came up with water spot remover. I like water spot remover as a redundancy step, as part of your preparation. I like to decon with the towel and with the iron remover.
Right.
And then I like to use water spot remover. For me, that's just the safest way to clear this paint before polishing.
Exactly. And even though we've washed it, we've decontaminated it, there can still be mineral accumulation. And the reason there's mineral accumulation on the vehicle is very simple. You take it through the car wash, they hose it off with water, like this, and then you go through a dryer. Not having the contact from the towel actually can make it so that the water that's left on the vehicle, and they're not using DI water at the end of most car washes, that is leaving a little film of minerals on the surface.
Well, can we spray it on?
Yeah.
And you explain a little bit more. So again, I think people are gonna hear water spot remover and be like, aren't you removing water spots? Like, how is it this mineral film remover?
So, like iron remover is not removing iron, water spot remover is not actually there to remove water spots. It's actually here to remove minerals. And again, it's an industry standard term that, since we're newcomers, we need to adopt. And no, I'm not a newcomer to the industry, but DIY Detail, we're a relatively new company in the manufacturing space. Now, one thing we'll notice when we're done this is that we may actually get some beading back. And if we do get some beading back, great. It doesn't mean there's any protectant on the vehicle, it just means our paint is as clean as it can be.
I give a few extra sprays to these vertical panels. You realize after detailing for a while, when you apply protection to the vertical panels and you drive through road salt in the wintertime, those are the ones that lose the water beading, right? So this is where we're trying to declog that salt accumulation, the minerals from that salt, with water spot remover. It just works, folks. Just trust us on this. If you want to know more about why it works, we're explaining it now, but it works.
Yeah, and this is winter in Omaha. There's salt on the roads.
Not sure when you'll see this video, but winter in Omaha.
At this point, attack it with a hose, my dear sir.
I actually am loving the fact that we don't have a pressure washer.
It's a lot quieter.
Well, I just feel like the flooding the vehicle with just this shower just makes sense to me.
Yeah. Now for the roof, you'll notice Nick is going from one side to the other. So we're not trying to rinse it in two parts. We're pushing the water and everything that's on it from one side to the other. That way, we're clear, we know that there's nothing left on the roof. Do we get any beating back? Not really.
No. You'd think they would have put something on at the dealership, wouldn't you?
They might have, or they may not have. So
You never know.
Some dealerships protect as soon as a car gets to the lot and then try to sell you the protection afterwards. Others just leave it the way it is.
Dealerships would do something that shady, Ivan?
It's not shady, it's actually saving them time.
Okay.
So they put the protection on it, and they know that a certain percentage of people will buy it, and it's just for them an easier way of doing all of this. As Nick is rolling up the hose, I'm going to use our squeegee to get the majority of the water off the floor. A, it's not fun walking on a wet floor. B, it's not safe. So this is an easy way of doing it. These squeegees are available anywhere. And there's two types of squeegees on the market. There's one that's normally a gray or black rubber blade, and those tend to chatter, especially on a very beat up floor like this. And there's the ones like this that it's a piece of foam that's folded in two and kept in there. These work really well. Under the car, there is a drain. So we're bringing the water as close to there as we can. Next, we get to dry the vehicle. Normally, we tell you to use a drying aid. In this case, we don't want to use a drying aid because we don't want anything interfering with the ceramic coating we're going to be putting on.
And polishing is a great way of cleaning the paint. A lot of people think about shining your paint up with a polish, but really, in this stage, I'm thinking, I just want this paint cleaner. It's gonna brighten it, it's gonna clean it up.
Exactly. And if there are little minor scratches, it's going to take care of that as well. But for the drying, now normally we use a drying aid. And a drying aid, if you've never experienced using a drying aid, just do half a panel with and half a panel without, and you'll see how much it actually helps you. In this case, we're going to be pushing water around because we don't have that drying aid to help us. We're going to use a 2-towel drying method. Actually 4, he'll have 2, I'll have 2. But you use just a basic regular utility towel to act sort of like a squeegee. And it's going to absorb the majority of the water and squeegee it off the surface, much safer than an actual rubber squeegee or a silicone squeegee, and then use our drying towel to finish off. It's going to save our drying towel first. Secondly, it's going to make our job easier because we have 2 towels instead of 1. And that first one, it's a smaller towel. We're going to be wringing it out a couple times. So like I said, the first towel is going to be our wet towel. And this paint has no protection whatsoever. We can feel the lack of slickness. And then the other towel follows behind. This does another thing for you too. It gives you something for each hand to do. So you're not resting your hand on the paint.
Folks may be tempted to use a little pressure on these towels, Ivan.
Pressure is never a good thing. If it feels like you're working when you're detailing, you're probably doing something wrong. If you have a leaf blower, if you have compressed air, obviously they'd be good to use in this case.
We promised them bare bones, Ivan.
It is. But if you happen to have one in the garage, well, don't be afraid to use it. So Nick, having owned many, many brands of vehicles over the years, Subaru is one brand I've never owned. What's the attraction to a Subaru?
Ivan, to me, and the reason I own one, I bought it when I was commuting an hour each way down a snowy canyon in the winter. So to me, it was a safety thing. I wanted something that was famously good in the snow with all-wheel drive, something that was safe if I got in an accident, because I have 2 small kids, something I could put a lot of miles on. So I've loved my Subaru. It's done very well in the snow. Is it sexy in conventional standards? I don't think so, but no. I like it a lot. What's your favorite car you've ever owned?
1973 Volvo P1800 ES.
Do you regret getting rid of it?
No, had it for 20 years, enjoyed it, but at a point in my life where it's just not practical to have many cars, And one of my main criteria now for buying a car is being able to tow it behind the bus.
Right. I like this method. I've never tried it before.
And
one scout towel squeegee, it works great.
yeah, your drying towel basically stays dry almost.
Yeah.
So our drying towel is basically dry.
Right.
This method also has a lot of merit if you're worried that your drying aid is going to contaminate your towels, for lack of a better term, or make your towels hydrophobic. Then this is a way of ensuring that they're not going to get hydrophobic. Just around the shark fin, and we're good. One area I am going to use a drying aid on is the wheels, because simply we're not going to be ceramic coating them, but we want some protection. Since the hose is already put away, we could have used quick beads, but we're going to use ceramic gloss. A couple sprays on the wheel, wipe it off with the first towel, and then finish with the second one. And that makes drying so much easier.
Yes, it does. It's like the water just disappears. Oh, ceramic gloss smells so good, Ivan.
It does. Especially after that little hit of iron remover. When we're done with our drying towel, especially the one we use as a squeegee and that we moved a lot of that drying aid around with, we're gonna put it in our wash bucket for 15 minutes and let it break down, or let the surfactants break down the ceramic, preventing them from cross-linking. Therefore, our towels are not going to become hydrophobic.
We promised them bare bones, basics.
Right.
So what do we have here?
We have something that you're going to discover in the next video.
It's all about polishing and ceramic coating. Why this bucket is in my hand, what is this? Join us on the adventure right here.